It was a dark and stormy night in Brazil, the rain lashing against the windows of the old colonial mansion. The walls creaked and groaned in the wind, and the air was thick with the musty scent of decay and neglect. The mansion had been abandoned for years, left to crumble and decay in the heart of the rainforest. But despite its dilapidated state, there were rumors that the mansion was haunted, its halls filled with the spirits of the dead. One day, a group of friends decided to investigate the mansion for themselves. They had heard the stories of the ghostly presence and were eager to experience the supernatural for themselves. So they gathered their equipment and set out into the rainforest, determined to explore the old mansion. As they approached the mansion, they could feel a chill in the air, a sense of foreboding that grew with every step. The mansion was dark and silent, its windows boarded up, and its doors locked tight. The group forced their way inside, and as they entered the mansion, they were met with an overwhelming sense of dread. The air was thick with the scent of decay and must, and the halls were filled with shadows that seemed to move on their own. As they made their way through the mansion, they encountered strange sights and sounds, from the flicker of candle flames to the eerie whispers that seemed to echo through the halls. But it wasn't until they reached the basement that they encountered the true horror of the mansion. For there, in the depths of the mansion, they found a room that had been sealed off from the rest of the house. Inside the room, they found a strange altar, adorned with symbols and strange inscriptions. But the most terrifying thing about the room was the ghostly figure that stood at the center of the altar. The figure was tall and gaunt, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. Its presence filled the room with a sense of malevolence and darkness, and the friends knew that they had stumbled upon something truly dangerous. As they tried to flee, the ghostly figure began to pursue them, its wraith-like form floating through the halls of the mansion. The friends ran, their hearts pounding with fear, but no matter where they turned, the ghostly figure was there, its eyes fixed upon them with a cold and unfeeling gaze. In the end, only one of the friends made it out of the mansion alive. The survivor was changed forever by the experience, haunted by the ghostly presence and the unrelenting terror of that dark and stormy night. The mansion remained abandoned, a place of fear and darkness that few dared to enter. And yet there were always those who were drawn to the mansion's dark allure, tempted by the promise of supernatural encounters and the thrill of the unknown. For the mansion was more than just a decaying old building. It was a place of power, a gateway to the supernatural that few could resist. And for those who dared to enter its halls, it remained a constant reminder of the enduring power of the supernatural and the dangers that lay beyond our world. In the years that followed, the survivor of the mansion's horrors became a recluse, haunted by the memories of that terrifying night. They would often wake up in the middle of the night, screaming and drenched in sweat, reliving the horrors of the mansion again and again. Despite their best efforts to forget, the survivor couldn't escape the ghosts of the past. They knew that the mansion still held secrets, that there were forces at work beyond their understanding. And so, the survivor began to research the history of the mansion, determined to uncover the truth behind the ghostly presence that had haunted their dreams for so long. What they discovered was even more terrifying than they could have ever imagined. The mansion had once been the site of a powerful cult, dedicated to the worship of dark forces that lay beyond our world. The cult had practiced dark rituals within the mansion, summoning forth otherworldly entities that had corrupted the very fabric of reality. And though the cult had long since been disbanded, their presence still lingered within the mansion's walls. The survivor knew that they had to put an end to the mansion's curse, to exorcise the ghosts of the past and free themselves from the grip of the supernatural. And so, armed with the knowledge they had gained, the survivor returned to the mansion, determined to face the darkness that lay within. What happened next is a mystery, for the survivor was never seen again. Some say that they were able to lay the mansion's ghosts to rest, banishing the dark forces that had haunted the mansion for so long. Others say that they were consumed by the very forces they sought to destroy, lost forever to the abyss that lay beyond our world. But one thing is certain: the mansion remains a place of fear and darkness, its walls steeped in the secrets of the past. And for those who dare to enter its halls, it remains a constant reminder of the dangers that lurk beyond our understanding and the ever-present threat of the supernatural. Despite the mansion's reputation as a place of terror, there were still those who were drawn to its dark outer. Over the years, there were rumors of paranormal investigators and thrill seekers who attempted to explore the mansion, seeking out the secrets of the past. But few ever returned, and those who did spoke of strange encounters and inexplicable phenomena. Some claimed to have seen the ghostly figure that had pursued the survivors so many years ago, while others spoke of eerie whispers and cold drafts that seemed to come from nowhere. Even the surrounding area had become tainted by the mansion's curse. Locals whispered of strange sightings in the nearby rainforest, of ghostly apparitions and otherworldly presences that seemed to stalk the darkness. And so the mansion remained, a place of fear and darkness that few dared to enter. Its walls stood tall and imposing, a reminder of the enduring power of the supernatural and the dangers that lay beyond our understanding. But even as the mansion lay abandoned and forgotten, the forces that had taken root within its walls continued to grow, feeding off the fear and despair of those who dared to approach its gates. And though the mansion may have been empty, its halls were far from silent, for the whispers of the past still echoed through its darkened halls, a constant reminder of the horrors that lay within. But despite the ominous warnings and stories that surrounded the mansion, there were still those who were drawn to its mysteries. Some came seeking adventure and excitement, while others hoped to unravel the secrets that lay within. One such person was a young woman named Isabella, who had grown up in the nearby town and had heard the stories of the mansion since she was a child. Despite the warnings of her friends and family, Isabella was determined to explore the mansion and discover the truth behind its dark past. On a moonless night, she made her way through the dense rainforest that surrounded the mansion, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and fear. As she approached the mansion's gates, she could feel a strange energy pulsing through the air, an otherworldly force that seemed to whisper her name. Undeterred, Isabella pushed open the gates and stepped into the mansion's courtyard, her eyes scanning the darkness for any signs of movement. The mansion's walls towered above her, their stone surfaces cold and foreboding in the moonless night. As she made her way through the mansion's halls, Isabella began to feel a sense of unease creeping over her, as if she was being watched by unseen eyes. Shadows danced along the walls, and strange noises echoed through the darkened corridors, causing her heart to race with fear. But even as her fear grew, Isabella refused to turn back. She was determined to uncover the secrets of the mansion, no matter the cost. And then she saw it, a figure, hazy and indistinct, standing at the end of the corridor. It seemed to flicker in and out of existence, as if it was a ghost from another realm. With a sense of trepidation, Isabella stepped closer, her eyes fixed on the apparition. As she drew nearer, the figure became clearer, taking on the form of a woman in a long flowing dress, her hair blowing in an unseen wind. For a moment, Isabella was frozen, unsure of what to do. And then the ghostly figure turned to her, fixing her with an icy stare that seemed to pierce through her very soul. And then it spoke, a voice filled with an otherworldly resonance that sent shivers down Isabella's spine. "You do not belong here," it said. "Leave this place or suffer the consequences." With a sense of dread creeping over her, Isabella turned and ran, her heart pounding with fear. As she burst through the mansion's gates and into the night air, she could feel the ghostly presence fading behind her, as if it was content to let her go. For days afterwards, Isabella was haunted by the memory of the mansion's ghostly presence and the warnings it had given her. And though she never returned to the mansion again, she knew that the secrets it held would remain a mystery, a testament to the enduring power of the supernatural and the dangers that lay beyond our understanding. 13,579. But even as Isabella tried to put the memory of the mansion behind her, she couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed within her. She began to have strange dreams, filled with visions of the ghostly woman she had seen in the mansion's halls. In her dreams, the woman would beckon to her, leading her through the mansion's darkened corridors and into hidden rooms and secret passages. Isabella could feel a sense of urgency in the woman's movements, as if she was trying to tell her something important. As the dreams continued, Isabella became obsessed with the mansion and its dark secrets. She spent hours researching its history, poring over old documents and journals in search of clues. And as she delved deeper into the mansion's past, she began to uncover a web of deceit and betrayal that had led to its downfall. It seemed that the mansion's previous owner, a wealthy landowner named Fernando de Oliveira, had become obsessed with the idea of harnessing the power of the supernatural. He had hired a team of scientists and occultists to study the mansion's strange energies, and had even gone so far as to conduct dark rituals within its walls. But the experiment had gone horribly wrong, unleashing a powerful force that had consumed the mansion and its inhabitants. And now, that force seemed to be reaching out to Isabella, drawing her deeper into its grasp. As Isabella continued her research, she began to feel a strange pull towards the mansion, as if something was calling out to her from within its walls. And so, despite the warnings of her friends and family, she made the decision to return to the mansion, determined to uncover the truth once and for all. But as she entered the mansion's courtyard, Isabella could feel the air growing thick with a sense of foreboding. Shadows danced along the walls, and strange noises echoed through the darkened corridors, causing her heart to race with fear. And then she saw it. The ghostly woman standing at the end of the corridor, beckoning her closer. With a sense of trepidation, Isabella stepped forward, her eyes fixed on the apparition. And then, as if in a flash, the mansion's walls seemed to come alive around her. Shadowy figures danced along the walls, and the air grew thick with the scent of death and decay. For a moment, Isabella was frozen, unsure of what to do. And then, as if guided by an unseen force, she began to move forward, the mansion's secrets calling out to her with an irresistible force. As she moved deeper into the mansion, Isabella could feel the darkness closing in around her, suffocating her with its weight. But even as her fear grew, she refused to turn back, driven by a need to uncover the truth behind the mansion's dark past. And then she saw it, a hidden room, concealed behind a secret door. Inside, she found a series of journals and notes, written by the mansion's previous owner. As she read through the documents, Isabella felt a sense of horror creeping over her. The experiments that had been conducted within the mansion's walls had been far more sinister than she had ever imagined, involving human sacrifice and unspeakable acts of violence. And then, as if in response to her thoughts, the mansion's walls seemed to come alive once again. Shadows danced along the walls, and the air grew thick with the scent of death and decay. For a moment, Isabella was frozen, unsure of what to do. And then, as if guided by an unseen force, she began to move forward once again, the mansion's secrets driving her on. But as she moved deeper into the mansion, Isabella could feel a dark presence drawing closer. As Isabella turned a corner, she saw the ghostly figure of the woman she had seen in her dreams. The woman was now more vivid and terrifying than ever before, her eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. Isabella tried to turn back, but she was rooted to the spot, paralyzed by fear. The woman drew closer, her movements slow and deliberate. Isabella could feel the cold breath of the ghostly figure on her neck, and she knew that she was in mortal danger. And then, with a sudden burst of energy, Isabella broke free from the paralysis that had gripped her. She turned and ran, her heart pounding in her chest, as she fled deeper into the mansion's maze-like corridors. But the darkness seemed to be closing in around her, and she could hear the ghostly footsteps of the woman following close behind. The air grew thick with the scent of death and decay, and Isabella knew that she was running out of time. And then, just as she thought she could run no further, Isabella saw a glimmer of light ahead. With a burst of hope, she pushed herself forward, racing towards the exit. But even as she reached the door, she could feel the ghostly presence drawing closer. And then, with a sudden burst of energy, she pushed open the door and stepped out into the night. For a moment, she stood there, panting and gasping for air. And then, as she looked back at the mansion's darkened facade, she could see the ghostly figure of the woman standing in the window, watching her with a malevolent gaze. As Isabella stumbled away from the mansion, she knew that she would never forget the horror she had witnessed within its walls. And even now, as she tries to move on with her life, she can still feel the dark presence of the mansion's secrets, drawing her back into its grasp.